don't need to go to full thickness of the stud either. You can do 2-3 inches. But the most important foam, I'd put it on that roof. You talk about help your electricity bill, especially on that big house. Right under your roof. That's good too. That's what I have under mine. But I foamed over that when I redid it. It's gonna be a nice home, but I wouldn't rush it. Bottom line is, once if you get in it too early, you never seem to finish. Get that.
SBA gave me
Awesome.
1.56%.
Oh, right. And how long have you been working that with them?
10 days.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's the fastest I've ever seen something go through SBA.
She
Good
said
Lord, that's usually like
paperwork,
a
the
year or
closing
so.
docs should be to me. She said within the next 10 days. Sign them, send them back.
Is
they
that
give me the
because
first
it-
draw. Because FEMA denied me, I hadn't moved in. So I went through SBA and
Good.
they
Congratulations.
approved everything. Way
Jeez.
better than the bank.
Oh, big time and a half.
Yeah.
That's
No,
fantastic.
$418 a month.
Good for you.
So now, I asked the lady, I said, now when I get you, she says, well, we'll send you the first $25,000 draw the day that we receive the paperwork back.
So where is your house now?
Well,
Is the tree went through it?
it split it in half.
But is it
Yeah,
blue
Freddie's
tarped?
No, you can't even tarp it because it doesn't have any rafters. So,
So you're going back to framing?
yeah, Freddie said he'll come on back in
And
and reframe everything up.
sheetrock needs to come out?
No,
Oh, it wasn't never sheetrock?
No.
Oh, thank God.
no insulation, no sheetrock, just the wire, I just had the wiring and
Oh,
the
okay.
plumbing, that was
Well,
it.
that's really great, actually.
Mhm.
Well, that's good news.
Now, but if I get any issues, she says, because when I get the draw, I'll need to send the receipts for whoever I paid doing whatever.
Yeah, just save your receipts. What I did is I made 2 folders.
Mhm.
One for the sheet.
Hammond City Council Public Hearing Agenda, September 28, 2021, 5:30 PM. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman Divatario,
Present.
Councilman Leon, Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
Councilman Wells.
Present.
For public hearing, item number 1.
An ordinance declaring movable property as surplus and providing for a donation to benefit public safety, 6 digital alley body cameras, and 1 docking station. Jana Thurman.
The police department updated their system to Axon, so these are digital ally cameras that are no longer compatible with the system that they have. So they're asking to donate these to Springfield Police Department. Currently, they only have 2 officers that have body cameras, so they're just trying to help out a sister agency.
Anyone from the public? Anyone from YouTube? Okay. Item number 2.
An ordinance to declare used Kate Street playground equipment as surplus and no longer needed by the city and to donate it to the Hammond Area Recreation District.
This is the playground equipment that was removed from Kate Street when they renovated the park. The Hammond Area Recreation District and the parish has renovated the old Tillman, also known as the C.P. Mitchell Park, and they were more than graciously to accept this if the council approves the donation for the playground equipment.
Is this not something that we could have used for the after-school program? I know we had kind of floated around some ideas, and there were a lot of people who asked about it. And
I know that we have reached out to Desiree and asked her if she had any use for this, and she said that there wasn't no other parks or anything that she could do with it.
okay.
Anyone else from the public? Anyone else from YouTube? Item number 3.
An ordinance to declare as surplus and authorize the sale of the items listed below to sell on govdeal.com.
You have a list of vehicles, evidence that was unclaimed, old broke-down lawnmowers that the value is not worth repairing. The vehicles have major medical issues with them that's not worth the value to fix. So we're asking to sell all of this on GovDeal.
Anyone from the public? Anyone from YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Anyone from the council? Next item.
An ordinance to transfer $86,819.96 from the sales tax fund balance to purchase a Kubota tractor for the airport on state contract, number AG-4400017852 from Start Equipment, David LeBeau.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As I mentioned at the last meeting, we operate with a two bush hog operation out at the airport year-round. The opportunities for cutting tend to be influenced a great deal by weather and how dry everything is out there. We tend to have a cutting cycle that allows us to cut the entire airport anywhere from 3 to 5 times a year. That's basically how wet everything stays out there. Because of that, when we do cut, there are certain areas that we can't get into on a regular basis, and those areas are very hard on our tractors. So we tend to be, and that's our reputation at the airport. We're hard on tractors and on bush hogs. So the useful life tends to come up pretty quick on them. And this one, as I mentioned at the previous meeting, we're looking at anywhere from 40 to 55,000 in repairs just to keep this one operating at this point. So I'm asking that you allow me to purchase a new one.
I wanted to ask you, that tractor, is it only used for the airport, or does the city ever use it for any other?
No, sir,
city
it's
use?
strictly for the airport.
And then the John Deere tractor, is that too heavy to use for other bush hogging, or do we use that?
That's exactly what we use it for, and that's what we have two.
Okay.
Because when things get dry enough that we can cut certain areas of the airport, we've got to have two of them going pretty much nonstop. I'm working them overtime right now to catch up because of all the wet weather that we've had. So
you have two Kubotas, one's broke, and then you have a John Deere. Is that right, or is there some more?
well, we have one Kubota which is broken, and we have the John Deere.
Okay.
That's it.
I got a question. Look, the airport. What's the budget for the airport? What budget you set out for this year for the airport?
The total amount
Yes.
on the budget, I think it's in the, I don't have the figures with me, it's probably in the 450 to 500 range.
So in your budget, and I didn't see, we just had a meeting, in June, for what everybody needed. And in June, for the budget, I didn't see where they had asked for a tractor at in the budget. So tell me what changed from June to what, 3 months later, 4 months later?
Yes, sir.
What have changed?
If this Kubota had told me it was going to throw a rod before that budget session, I definitely would have had it in there. But, I mean, there's no way I could predict that.
Okay, see, and this is what I see, and I really have a problem. And I know what's going on. I see you got the air show shirt on. What I see is that here you want the taxpayer. The last thing, a couple weeks ago, I don't even know if it was a couple weeks ago, we just gave the money. We just gave the airport some money. So I see we keep putting money into the airport, but I don't know what the airport is actually bringing to the city.
So, you know, the first thing you look at with the airport is the commerce that it brings to the city. I've got several photographs which I can get for you of local businesses, chains, everything from Waffle House to J.C. Penney, to think of every major retail brand that's operating in the city of Hammond. All of those individuals have been to visit the local area after the hurricane alone. They fly into the Hammond Airport. We provide that service to them. When those organizations, anywhere from Walmart, to the two that I've already listed, and any of the others, when they look at an area that they want to go into, they look at the access and they look at the availability. Can we come in? Can we fly in there? Can we keep an eye on our stores? And the airport's not the only thing. You're looking at general transportation features as well. Right now, we're averaging depends on the day, but we average between 250 and 400 operations a day. And this is an estimate, but 70% of the commerce that takes place on that airport, whether it's people who work there on the airport, people who fly in and out of the airport, any kind of services that are provided there, the military, 70% of those individuals are coming from outside of the parish, and they're coming into the parish. They're spending money in the parish. They're working here, and they're using that airport. Because of that, the FAA and the state recognize that, so they're willing to put money into the airport to help us grow the airport as a catalyst, as an economic driver for our region, to improve ultimately the overall quality of life for the people of our region. And they want to see us putting that money in as well to its upkeep. We will be there one day. We will be that self-sufficient airport that I think you're looking for, that doesn't require any money from the taxpayers, and we're close, and that's what we're working toward.
Okay, because I think just last year, and I brought it up too. Last year, what it was, we bought a tractor last year. What, 125,000?
I think we put about 90,000 of our own money into it, or I can't remember exactly. It might have been in the 70 or 80 range. 75.
75 of
yeah.
our own, the rest was grant.
Right, and the rest of it was grant money.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought up the word grant. I see y'all receive a lot of grants for the airport. So tell me why you're not doing it this time, trying to get grant money for this here tractor.
So typically, the grant money that we receive is for the upkeep and maintenance of the airport itself. So for example, runway surfaces, taxiway surfaces, lighting systems, those types of things. We do receive a small grant from the state at the end of every fiscal year, which usually works out to between $8,000 and $10,000, somewhere in that range, which reimburses us for about 15 to 20% of our total expenditures every year on upkeep, everything from cutting grass, that kind of stuff. Tractors themselves and unfortunately hangars kind of fall into the same category, but they aren't really normally eligible for those funds, either from the FAA or the state. The FAA and the state make safety issues a priority. For example, I'm going to come see you next month, and I'm going to ask for your approval of our annual capital improvement plan. One of the things you're going to see at the top of that request is the FAA looking to fund, to the tune of $2 to $3 million, a runway resurfacing on one of our runways, because they've seen some issues there and they want to help us make sure that going forward, our already safe runway continues to be safe and continues to provide that surface. So that's where they like to put their money. The state helps us out with similar type issues, but the state, has a little bit more leeway. That's why they try to push some money to us for maintenance and those kinds of things. Again, normally tractors aren't one of the things that they're willing to fund. What happened last year is we had a round of 3 COVID-related grants that were available to us. The first one was to the tune of, I think it was $157,000. That's where we took the money that we augmented the city money for the purchase of the John Deere. The remainder of that money was used for repairs and other things that we have, that we had need of at the airport. Concrete that cracks needs to be repaired, those types of things. Lighting systems that need to be repaired. We've received 2 subsequent rounds of COVID funding, but every one of them has, I take that back, we've received 1 of the 2. The 3rd is on the way. We're still waiting on the grant paperwork of that. The total is in the high 300s for all of these grants. Unfortunately, the 2nd and the 3rd round, as we moved down the road in 2020 and into 2021, they became increasingly more restrictive on what we could use them for, to the point that of the last round, which I think is right at about $90,000, can only be used in the control tower, and as is related to basically COVID type issues, social distancing, creating office spaces for social distancing, environmental things like filters and those type of things. So we've gotten to the point now where that first round we could use the money for the tractor, but the remaining funds we can't.
Okay, because what I see is, okay, we talk about the grant writer. You just told me y'all got $300,000 in grant. And if the city keeps sitting here putting money at the airport, my district started losing out. I can't speak for the rest of the county, but my district is losing out. Every time I give money to the airport, we just gave money, what, less than a week ago?
Yes, sir.
And I know it don't have nothing to do with you, but I just see poor management, and I don't know on whose behalf it is, because you just sat there and told me you had about $400,000 for your budget. So if you have $400,000 for your budget, I don't understand how you can't get the money out of your budget instead of asking the city for their money. You help me out.
So if you look at our budget, I mean, you can see very clearly where the money goes to. I mean, we've got 5 individuals that work at the airport, so you've got payroll for those individuals. You've got the state retirement system, and you've got all of the different issues that are associated with maintaining those positions for the city. Then you've got all the bills that you pay, everything from electricity to supplies to equipment and small equipment. We purchase a lot of small equipment. Of course, I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over those items line by line if you'd like. But I mean, the majority of that money, once you set aside, say, $50,000 for airfield maintenance, maybe $20,000 for equipment maintenance. You set aside electricity, all of those kinds of things. Remember, every building at the airport that receives electricity that's owned by the city, I pay those electric bills, and that includes the control tower, the entire, every time you drive down 190 at night and you see that all those runways and the taxiways and everything else lit up, that's all an electric bill. So just one small example.
Yeah, okay, well, you said enough. You still didn't give me the answer that I was looking for, but I know this is something that I can't approve of. So, thank you, Mr. David.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
That is pretty much those 2 tractors are just used strictly for bush hog, or 3, be 3 now, yeah, used for just bush hogging.
Yeah, we used to have a front loader that we could use on one of them, but we don't.
Yeah, have we ever looked at seeing how much it would cost to like sub that out and just not have tractors and like sub it out? How much would it cost per, 3 tractors, 100-some thousand times 3, repair, the maintenance? I mean, do you work out better subbing it out or leasing them?
Right.
Or just getting a company who
So you
specializes in cutting the grass, and you can just not have,
Yeah,
don't
you
have to
eliminate those
expenses on that?
those tractors.
I mean, I was just,
You also eliminate the the personnel position, so you eliminate those jobs.
Yeah, and that's other expenses the city has.
Right,
I mean, I'm
right.
just,
And
you
then
know,
you look at,
you could put them in a different department
Yeah.
that I'm sure that is needed.
you have a contractor, price out what they would charge you to keep it maintained. I did that about 5 years ago, about a year after I got here, and the price came out very comparable to what we would pay over the same amount of time. And when I looked at it, I looked at all the headaches that would be involved in training up the individuals. Essentially you'd have outside individuals coming onto the airport surfaces, all of those kinds of things, and replacing your own airport people. It just didn't seem like the right course of action at the time. And the only thing I really considered was that those jobs for those city employees, those citizens in the local community, basically those jobs would go away.
I mean, yeah, every other department I talked to seemed like there's shortage of workers. I'm sure one of them could have used an extra, employee. So I was just checking. I just didn't know if we ever looked into dividing it up and figuring out, a contract, put out to bid and get some kind of projections, how much it would cost to, sub it out to a company who does that, or maybe lease the equipment, maybe comparable, so you don't have all the maintenance on all the repairs and everything else. Because 100-something thousand last year, 80-something thousand this year.
125 last year for a
125,
tractor.
and then not to mention, I don't know what all the repairs and the parts and
Right.
throughout, and then you got your employees there, and then your liability and everything else. So anyways, I was just thinking about that. Since it's only about 4 times or 5 times a year, y'all probably cut it pending the weather and
Right.
everything else. So
Like I said, about 5 years ago, the prices were comparable, but that's certainly something we could look at again as we
Yeah.
move forward.
Then I passed by the airport yesterday. The grass looked good to me. It looked freshly cut. So, did the old tractor, did it break down yesterday or this morning? Because the grass was cut yesterday when I passed by there.
We actually have a loaner from Star Equipment right now. It's an older tractor that they're leasing to us because of, we're 2.5 weeks away from the air show. The hurricane just ended. We had a good month and a half there where it wasn't dry enough to cut anything with the bush hogs. So and this is the way it always is at the airport. We hurry up and wait. We sit around waiting for weather that we can bush hog in. And I say sit around, but keep in mind we're doing everything else. We're cutting with 0 turns. We're weed eating. We're maintaining the trees around the fence line. Everything that you can imagine on an airport needs to be repaired and equipment needs to be maintained. So once that last 3-week or 4-week period hit, then it was clear that I needed some help, and we got that second tractor as a loaner. My guys have made a huge amount of progress just in the last 2 weeks. I had 2 guys working all the way through the weekend. They worked late this past Friday. They worked Saturday and Sunday. Because we have to do stuff like watch the weather. We knew that the storm was coming today, and we knew what our window was that we could get all of that done. And we're doing pretty good, making good time right now.
I have a question, just because I don't know. How long does what's the lifespan of a tractor? The one we just bought, and then we have a new one. Are we looking at, we're good, if we get this, we just got the other one, we're good for how many years?
I'd say on average at the airport, I can't speak for the other departments, and I can't speak.
I'm just talking about you.
10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, are we keeping the one that's broken? Will you keep working on it and trying to use it, or will you be surplusing it and trying to get some kind of money for
Yeah,
it?
it would have to be surplused.
Okay, where does the money go when it's surplused? If we get, I have no idea what a broken tractor would get, so it goes back to the general fund. Okay, any idea how much it could be worth?
Unfixed.
Just to help kind of
yeah.
offset this.
can't be too much because you said $40,000. I think you said the repair is going to be. So if
Yeah, we're just
you can't
buying
sell
a
it,
tractor. We're not
okay.
buying a bush hog. So it's just a tractor on this one. The last one was a bush hog as well. 5 cuts a year is way low. When the weather is good, you're cutting That's what they do out
Cutting
there.
all the time.
So to sit here and say 5 times a year, that's inaccurate on how many times you cut.
So let me clarify,
Please clarify.
when I say 5 times a year, I'm talking about the entire airport cycle. So now keep in mind, we've got property north of Vineyard Road. We've got everything up to Vineyard. If you were to drive along Vineyard and look south, everything you see right there has to be cut. There are areas northwest of runway 31, as you're moving northwest away from the airport, that you can't even see. You can't see from Pride Drive. You can't see them from Vineyard Road.
So how many acres you cut pretty much bush hog, roughly estimated, just an estimated acreage?
For total, I'm in
Yeah.
the 950 acre range.
So you
Some of
bush
that is
hog
wooded, so I'd say 850.
So you bush hog about 850 acres
Yes, sir.
year-round.
And you have 2 machines doing that, 2 big machines with this one.
But I think we talked once before, a lot of it you can let the farmers have, because they will keep it cut for the hay. So on some of it, so when you say northwest, I know what it looked like over there. So the farmers, they would cut it for hay. So, and I'm quite sure they wouldn't charge no money, because they use the hay to feed their animals. So I'm not gonna waste no more of your time, but I think you really need to start considering, when you come up here asking for money, the airport got to start taking care of itself. You know, because I brought it up before at the last meeting. We talked about the runway, and you talked about how dangerous it was, and the city gave money for that. And it looked like every other month, the city is giving money to the airport, and my district, we coming up short every time. And I'm talking about these citizens that's been there for 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years, and every time they ask me, well, Devon, can we have this? Devon, can we get this here? The airport got it. The airport got it. And I know it don't have nothing to do with you, but I can't keep doing it. I'm not gonna do it.
And I guess right here, I mean, I just want to make clear, I support the airport, and, you know, I wish it the best, and I know it does a lot for Hammond, totally. I mean, I'm for, my question here was just mainly on the management of the funds and everything, as far as if there's a better way to possibly do it, to where if you could save 50 grand, how many grand you could save. If you save anything, you put it back, you can spend it to something else in the airport, or wherever else in the city, or something. So that's all. And it didn't seem like, it wasn't clear to me that if we've, really looked hard at something, because there's a lot of variables there. I mean, if you don't bush hog all 850 acres, I don't know the safety of it. If 100 of those acres can be baled hay, bale hay on them. I mean, all those factors. I mean, to me, I think, there may be some room saving the employee pay over there, and maybe bringing those employees to a different department or something that may need people. I'm not saying get rid of their jobs, just replace them or whatnot. But anyway, I don't know, I'd be curious about the leasing, the equipment, and, and how much it would, cost to do it. It might be astronomical to where it makes 0 sense to sub it out to somebody else, but you put a little more energy for you having to manage bush hogging, and you could manage something else, spend your hours on something else in the airport,
Right.
Making it even better than what it is. So,
Yeah, we could certainly look at it
Yeah.
down the road,
Yeah.
for sure.
Anyone else from the public? Okay. Thank you, Dave.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hammond City Council regular session agenda, September the 28th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Councilman Andrews,
Present.
Councilman Divatario,
Present.
Councilman Leon, Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Present.
and Councilman Wells.
Present.
Before I move into the prayer, I'm asking that everyone remain on task. Make sure we be cordial to one another and respectful to one another as well. Let us pray. Most gracious, loving Father, we thank you on tonight. We give you glory and honor and praise that is due your name, Father God. Just thanking you for Jesus, who is our high priest, and he ever make intercessions on our behalf. Father God, we just come right now as an empty pitcher before a full fountain. We come as a child that has humbled himself before their parent, just to tell you thank you. Thank you for waking us up this morning and starting us on our way. Father God, if there's ever a time we need you right now. Father God, I ask you continue to touch the hearts and minds of those that have lost over the last couple of weeks and this month right now, Father God, that you continue to give them strength to continue to move forward. Father God, I ask you continue to bless our fire department and our city police as they continue to protect and serve us. Father God, that you continue to strengthen and move on behalf of our city administration. That you continue to bless our council right now and all of our families right now, Father God. Continue to bless our city. Continue to bless our state. Continue to bless our parish. Father God, I ask that you touch our heart, that we lean not to our own understanding, but in all of our ways that we acknowledge you right now. Because without you, we are nothing. We need you right now, Father God. Continue to guide us and keep us. We thank you that everything tonight will be done decent, order, pleasing in your sight. Therefore, you will get all glory, all honor, and all praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. For the Pledge of Allegiance, all veterans and active military, please render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reports, Mayor?
Well, I think we're, if not at 100%, right at 100% of everyone's homes getting powered from energy, other than those that have meters that have been pulled off the houses by trees and et cetera that electricians need to get to. I think our last lift station for the sewer and water department was being worked on today to get energized, and that's been done, so we're finally all up with that. Debris removal, you'll see some trees that have been picked up. There's a lot of sheetrock out there now that needs to be picked up. Construction debris, one of the second or two piles that are out there. So it would be nice if we could get some more assets in here to help out with that, because they seem to be picking up in some spots and moving on. I'd mentioned to one of the drivers, why don't you just stay in an area and just keep circling till you're finished before you move to the next one, but apparently they have their own agenda. That's some of the latest frustration. I think the biggest frustration, though, is for those folks who trees and homes aren't able to live in their homes, getting some access for housing, whether it's trailers from FEMA or even the states talking about getting some trailers in to help people have trailers on site at their homes where they can be next to their home when they're trying to fix it up. And I think that's one of our biggest issues right now, helping folks with that. And if anyone out there is having troubles, please give us a call, especially with energy. You should be hooked up by now.
Question for you, Mayor. We're dealing with the debris pickup. I'm quite sure, just like we receive a lot of calls, you guys have been receiving them too.
Daily.
On that aspect with that, is there a way you can call these particular companies to report exactly what needs to be picked up? Just like you said, they're picking up, and they might pick up on this street and skip a street or skip a whole area, might not even come
There's no
back.
rhyme or reason to it, and I don't understand it, and I've asked multiple times. I've even asked to some extent, leave the tree debris if this is all the trucks we're going to get, and start picking up the sheetrock because it has the mold on it, and let's get it off the streets. The trees may rot, but they don't have as much mold, I would think, as the other debris, the construction debris. So we're constantly trying to work with Robbie, his team, and DRC to get more assets in here to help out, more trucks running this debris. So it's a constant day-to-day battle with questions to Robbie and his team and trying to direct them to certain areas.
So to follow up on this, we're all getting, I'm sure you're getting the most of it, but these are people hired by the parish, right? We did.
This is
hire them.
FEMA,
Right.
yeah, and there's
So
a contract
The
with
parish contracted.
The
them for
contract
whole-
is with the parish.
Is there not a way for us to have
No.
City of Hammond
Not at
additional
this-
work?
Not at this time.
Okay.
There are so many procedures that you have to go through in order to hire a contractor for debris pickup, and there's so many FEMA steps that have to be crossed off a list. at this time, we wouldn't be finished procuring for probably another 3 months to meet the FEMA regulations.
But to
In
answer
order
your
to get
question-
paid back.
In order
That
to-
would be the
yes,
issue.
in order to get paid back and in order to have somebody actually in working. DRC is contracted directly through the parish. They followed all the FEMA guidelines. That contract was put in place, and we actually participated in that contract prior to the storm. This is an annual thing that we renew with them. They have about 20 trucks that are operating in Hammond. They have been picking up construction debris starting Monday a week ago. So the same contractor is picking up construction debris and vegetative debris. However, they don't mix them in the same truck because they go to 2 different locations. So there are certain ways that they pack the truck, is what we've been told. You can call and report the address if you'd like to the DRC contractor. However, we as the city and the parish cannot necessarily direct their efforts and tell them how to do it, because then we assume all the liability of if they lose cost or if something happens to their load. So just like a normal contractor relationship, we cannot direct their work. We can give them and report addresses, and if somebody feels like they got skipped, then we can certainly turn that in. They purposefully wait to do construction debris until later in the cycle because they know that people are still remodeling, still tearing out, still gutting, all that kind of stuff. And you see that across town. You see how the construction debris now is becoming more and more prolific. So they start with tree debris, they go through that, a certain cycle, and then they start picking up construction debris.
Is construction, construction debris include the flooded out sofas and mattresses?
Furniture and construction debris is one.
I thought when Amways came, they had mentioned something about appliances and whether they'd be picking.
They're not, in a storm-related effort, it's kind of a different situation. Tree debris and construction debris and furniture all get picked up by DRC and reimbursed through FEMA. And through that process, they have debris monitors that actually physically go with them to each site, take pictures, take video, have to write down the load, all this kind of stuff, all according to the FEMA rules for reimbursements.
And when dropping off, they actually have to go in and pick it out, just like they placed it in. So it's not a dumping situation where they can lift a hydraulic arm and dump the trailer. They actually have
I
to go
don't
in.
feel like
and-
they're doing a very good job.
Yeah.
So do we have, I know we can't tell them where to go, but do we have like just a representative that deals just strictly with administration, like any calls that come in to kind of like get clarification on like if it was passed up on purpose or if it was passed up because it was just a mishap and they need to, be told, okay, or no, they got, we're not going to get to it till next week or anything, just where we can let the people know anything. Is there any kind of like representative to that company that we have a little more direct contact with?
When we called last week, we asked for kind of what a schedule is or
Yeah.
how you're approaching it or whatever, or how do we report things to you?
Yeah.
How do we report households? We already gave them the list of all the households that we had where we saw construction
Yeah.
debris appearing at that point. We update that list with them. They tell us that they have also GPS locations as the vegetative debris folks have gone through. They've GPS locations for construction debris as well. So they have an internal list that they're working from. They do not have a schedule that they've provided us that says, today we're going to do the west side of Hammond, tomorrow we're going to do the east side.
So, and we still doing 3 piles, debris, the construction, and then just the AM waste, normal cans. So
Normal
it should be
trash.
3
Yes.
out there by the road, keep them separate. And how many months? Do they have like a contract for 6 months they're gonna be running, or just are they phasing out whenever they see everything gone, or?
I
with the
think it's
treated-
more phasing out. It's all dependent too on the FEMA timelines. So the reimbursements and all that kind of stuff happens through FEMA. The total passes and all the disaster declarations match up with those timelines. And they'll, be here as long as they kind of need to be here. They won't be here for 6 months. It'll be done much faster than
I
that.
think that Robbie said one time, I heard him say that they'll pass everywhere twice, and then they'll reassess on whether another pass is needed.
And renegotiate.
In the past, it's been as many as 4 or 5. It just depends. Each storm can be different, and each way that the contractor handles it can be different. So
And my frustration was, why are you passing up certain piles? And the answer was, loading those trucks, they know what they can take and can't take as far as when there are bigger trees, bigger logs, and they know pretty much what their capacity is, and then they'll go off and start grabbing the lighter lens and pack it in.
So that's a good, I'm glad you said that, because that's another thing I can tell people, because they'll call me and, voice their concerns, but they see it pass by a pile, well, I mean, they know their machine, they know their weight, so I mean, if they see a few big logs, they're not gonna pick it up if they're halfway.
But why not come right back?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
gotta be-
exactly, yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah.
starting where you just stop?
Okay,
That's
Why
the
go down
frustration.
one street and then not get the side street for weeks?
Exactly.
City Hall will be happy to take any addresses. We continue to update addresses with them, so we'll be happy to take any addresses that you have or
Yeah.
calls that you're getting. We'll be happy to turn in those
yeah, I
addresses.
think, yeah, Commerce Street was one they hadn't passed by at all, so Commerce Street, supposedly they called me up, and that's not my district, but a couple guys called me up, they hadn't gone there at once. I think Lato Lane was kind of scarce over there as well, too. I don't know if they've done anything over there. And those are a couple, I mean, I'm sure there's some I'm missing, but those are two that recently today called me up, and I wanted to make a note of that if you could. And then, yeah, and as far as communication, Lato Lane, I don't think they still have like any like internet or phone line stuff. So,
Yeah.
do y'all have any update from that rep, AT&T or Spectrum? Any
I have seen,
communication?
where I used to see the energy
Yeah.
trucks at Albertsons, now I'm seeing all cable trucks.
Okay.
So it looks like that's the next wave, from what I heard a spokesperson in New Orleans talking about. Those cable individuals and telephone usually come in after the major electricity's been fixed and those trucks start rolling out.
And Lacey, another one of those streets would be Clark Street in District 1. But I have another question too, Dr. Landrum. You were stating with that contract was through FEMA with the parish, and I guess before the storm, the city set in and played a role in with that. Is there any way possible, just for in the future, if the city could look at getting into their own type of contract to start the paperwork, or looking at what needs to be done to set up for additional debris services to help as well?
I think there's a ton of pre-disaster contracts that we have planned to line out.
Okay.
I think there's
Yeah.
a lot. I think we've talked about everything from generators and fuel supply to other critical supplies to debris removal to trash to all kinds of things that we need to have more pre-disaster control.
With a disaster like this, you learn a lot. Our generators, the volume of natural gas, whether that was the case or not, and the way that FEMA came around and fueled up the diesel generators, will probably start coming before you for the next generators, for not natural gas, but for diesel.
And
All the mechanics, Kent and Robert, were talking about that they truly believe that that's where we need to go in the future.
And I think that was part of, along the lines with the email that I sent the other day about meeting with the department heads, being able to give us a review on what they learned during the storm, what worked, what didn't work. That way we could come to the table to be able to put things together that if we're ever facing something like this again, we would, know how to respond to it. And we were told by the news people, and the only newsman that I know that was ever accurate on a hurricane was Nash Robertson. He didn't have none of the stuff that they have today. If he told you it was going to hit somewhere, that's where it hit. And we were up under the impression that this thing was going to hit over on the other side of Baton Rouge, but Ida decided to come to Hammond. And she hung out and she done some serious damage around here. And I'm glad to get the information that we're getting to this evening, that way we'll be able to provide this to our constituents with the information that's being provided tonight. I do appreciate it, and there's some good information to be able to provide about the trash and the different things, where they can understand that, hey, maybe this truck passed up because it couldn't pick this up because of the capacity of the weight that was already on it. And like you said, Mayor, why not come right back through and just, scoop it up again? So thank you.
Council President, I'll just remind everybody too, that IDA communication page that's on the city's website has a ton of resources there. That's where we put those kind of reminders about leave your trash curbside now. They're not running, sometimes the day route takes longer than one day and it gets picked up that next morning. So with Amwaste, leave all the trash curbside. With the debris pickup, we're trying to put notes and updates up there about that. With FEMA, we've added a lot of their fact sheets that they have given out and dispersed. We've added all of those. we're trying to use that as kind of our as much information as we can push out up there.
President, Kip, I read the email you sent to the city, and I'm still puzzled. This is our second council meeting, and we talking bits and pieces about the storm. Seemed like the first meeting we had, it should have been about the storm. And the email the president sent out that he wanted the departments head here for the night, but we can talk about the storm, what we could do better, what mistakes we made. It's like it's ignored. And, you know, I could sit here and go on and on about some of the things. A lot of things was lacking in my area. So hopefully that we ain't gonna have another meeting conducting city business without talking about post-item, because I'm looking for every council meeting I don't watch. Even the parish done had a meeting about what took place, what didn't take place. Why the city is keep avoiding this meeting, because it's gonna take place one way or the other, because it was so much lacking in my district that we didn't have. So hopefully the next agenda, that it will be put on there, and that the department heads can come up here and explain to us what took place and what didn't take place. So that's what I'm hoping for the next meeting.
So I'll just address that. We had already planned internally to have a meeting next week to discuss with all the department heads internally. You typically wait about 30 to 45 days after a major incident to debrief so that everybody has time to actually absorb what all has happened. We still have some departments that are at a higher pace of operations that have not stopped yet and have not had time to pause and think about all the important questions that have to be asked and answered. And so while I appreciate those sentiments, at the same time, we need to do that internally, and then we'll be prepared to bring a full report to the council members. If the council has specific things that they would like addressed or thought through internally, we'll be happy to do that as well. But the debrief and the after action review is probably one of the most critical steps in response and recovery, and it can't be rushed, and it has to be a very honest dialogue. And so it's important, we felt like, to do that internally first, and then to bring more people from outside into that discussion.
Well, I'll say this here. Thank you again, President Kip, for trying to get it on the agenda. The parish president, I guess I got to thank him too, because he didn't wait no 30 days, no 45 days. So I'm going to thank President Robert Miller for what he did. And I want to thank Sam too, Councilman Sam. Sam the one request that energy, Bell South, AT&T, and who the other party was?
Yeah.
Amway. And this what I saw when I watched the parish council meeting. The stuff Sam asking for, Councilman Sam, the stuff that he asked for, these the things the city administration supposed to ask for. Should no councilman be asking for these here? You know, the city administration should have had those people up here in line to answer questions or whatever. Because see what I got going on right now, Mr. Sims, which is he my neighbor. The man don't stay in Louisiana. His house in Louisiana. He got to keep coming down here, checking, see what's going on. Mr. Sims, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to say good afternoon to the mayor and to all of the councilmen, and an opportunity to be here to speak with you. My name is Claude Sims. I reside at 806 Mooney Avenue. And I'm here to talk about a few things. One is accountability, responsibility, and credibility. All of us in the jobs and position that we have should work to make sure that we maintain those areas of expertise. But my concern has to do is when the rain comes, the debris is going to be in the ditches where they are, and it just rained today. There's nowhere for it to go. So who's responsible? You know who you are. Who should be accountable? You know who you are. And who should have the credibility? You know who you are. The other concern I have has to do with the waterways. If the debris is in the waterway and people are trying to decide what to get out of we're going to be just like Ida again. There's nowhere for it to go. Ride around in the areas and look around and see. The other area has to do with leaving I think the mayor, I'm mimicking him on this, the mold. Not only is there a mold, but there's a stink. And not only that, it's a health issue. So if we're waiting to get the cycle by, then we're going to be getting sicker and sicker. And no one has said anything about the pandemic. So my point is very simple. Somebody has to have accountability. You know who you are. Somebody must be responsible. Let's get it done. And credibility, I'm here to see it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sims.
And it's sad that he got to keep coming to Louisiana. He one of the ones stay on side of me. And I ain't gonna lie. It's like they gave me a favor, in which I don't ask for no favor. They picked up all the trash in front of my house. I mean, he know. I don't have a bag in front of my house. But all the trash is still in front of his house. So, and I'm talking about, I watch the garbage company. They ran Saturday. I didn't see the purpose of it, you know, because our trash, they normally pick it up on Monday. So, and we got stuff in black bags. Nobody know what it is. So we don't know if it's insulation. We don't know if it's food. But I'm talking about Mooney Avenue, it stinks. Viney, though, it stinks. Mississippi Street, it stinks. And I'm going to say this here. The administration, you don't know. And I'm going to say you don't know because you know what? During the storm, you didn't even pass through there. That's what's so sad. So I know what's going on. And they can tell you, I've been right there with them every minute, every second. So whatever I can do, I don't know how to work a chainsaw. If they ask me to do a chainsaw, I don't know how to work it, but you show me how to work it. So we've been there working in our community. And so we can do all we can do. But if we sitting here paying all these folks, why they not around? You know, we still got the duck and derve between the debris on the streets. You know, it need to be pushed all the way off the street. You know, I saw a piece of equipment over there today. But you know what he did? He moved stuff around. Wasn't nothing picked up. And so here it is, we got the administration sitting up here telling us today that we can't tell them how to do, we can't do this, we can't do that. But it's amazing. You still want District 3 to pay their water bill and their sewer bill, and the sewer in their house, but they still paying the bill. So it's sad on our behalf, and this one time, I am really hurt to be a councilman, because what could I do? What could I tell my community? What could I tell my district? If you come up with excuses, I got to sit there and tell, look, this is what the mayor say, this is what the administration say, this is what they say. So like, well, darn, when they going to stop saying and start doing?
And I just wanted to say about, you know, the post meeting, I think that's a great idea with post item meeting. And I mean, I know you were saying about internally having with the department head, but I really think, you know, I would like to see some kind of meeting with the council and the department heads and the administration, everybody, but afterwards, just because the amount of phone calls I got throughout this storm and helping out here and there, and the lack of communication, the lack of knowing what's going on. I know it was a disaster, but I definitely think we need a little better organization amongst the council delegated throughout the city on a disaster, and I think it would be important that the council, since we're the ones that are elected by the people, to actually get all the calls all day, every day long about them, to be involved in what we were hearing from the people, to relate to the department heads and to the administration in that meeting post, to where in the future, if it does happen again, we can get a better grip on it beforehand, and not be so lost. And that's what I have to say about that. Mr. Sims made a good point about the waterways and the canals. Some of those canals haven't been cleaned in a while. The people that live back there hadn't in my district. So that's another issue there I have, that I think a lot of those are cleaned by the is it the parish or the state?
Drainage board.
That right there, really, and definitely now after this storm, it needed to be a priority. Several storms before, but it definitely needs to be a priority ASAP after this. And because we doing all these drainage improvements that we're paying for, and you can spend all the money you want having all these pipes, but if they lead to these canals that are blocked up, they're just going to back up anyway. So we really need to look at that, and our contact, whoever the contact is, for the representative who makes the list of the canals, the drainage boards, I'd like to see, have his contact, whoever in charge of Collie Bates. Okay, all right, because I would like to see the schedule of the last time certain ones have been cleaned, and to what extent, because the people that live there said they hadn't been cleaned since they've lived there for 10 or 15 years. So yeah, I'm just going by the people who live there. I don't know if you live on those streets or not, or no, but the people that live there, they tell me and complain and call me. When it's the whole street, I'd imagine they're telling me the truth. So that's why I want to see record. If there is record where it says, oh, they cleaned it in 16, well, I can bring it to them and say, hey, ma'am, sir, they cleaned it in 16. Here we go. This is where it was. And then they may be happy then. I don't know. But that's kind of a big issue. Definitely need to have a post IDO. Because, whatever, we just, yeah. But anyways, so.
And the drainage board, they already started their process. They looking at 3 contractors. Instead of trying to give it to one contractor to clean all the canals, they looking at 3 contractors doing it, and they're going to take way less time. And that's one of the mistakes the city keep making. You got one contractor trying to work 4 and 5 districts, instead of getting 3 or 4 contractors. Well, we won't have no contractor on a 300-day contract. It don't make sense. So a lot of things, and I'm saying this here because, I'm not the one that bite my tongue, because it hurt when you bite your tongue. But we got to start making better decisions, sitting down, talking. And if we don't, I'm going to keep coming up here to this mic, and I'm going to keep saying the mistakes that the city making. It's not the councilman, it's the city making the mistakes, because we're not involved in it, in making these decisions. One of the last contracts we signed, and wasn't nobody saying nothing about it, is 3, Councilman Andrew, Councilman Kip, Councilman Woman Gonzalez. It's 3 districts that's getting drainage work done by one contractor, in which the engineer sat there and say he estimated about 300 days. That's crazy. To sit there and give one contractor 300 days to do projects instead of getting 3 contractors, and that's 100 days. And I'd be mad if you come in my area and you sitting here doing just like they doing with the trash. That's the problem you're going to have. They're going to piece it. They're going to do a little here, go to the next councilman, do a little there, and they're going to keep doing that. And so 300 days is going to turn to 400 days. And I'm saying this here, even as the councilman, you need to look at it and see 300 days, you ain't going to even be in office no more. So guess what? If they don't vote for you, so that's why you don't need to have contracts going that long. So no contract shouldn't last that long. Thank you.
He did make a good point about the ditches being full. Hopefully I'll get them clear beforehand, but if we do have a good hard flood in somebody's house that doesn't have flood insurance, backs up because of pretty much maintenance in there, I mean, is that, what happens then? Do we just report it to FEMA? I mean, the city, I mean, they're not responsible for that, are they? I mean, how does that work when that happens? If you don't have flood insurance, and we rains all the time over here, and if it has a big downpour and they haven't gotten around to picking up the big logs in the ditch ways and everything else, and it backs up into somebody's house, and it wouldn't have normally, flood, I mean, are we responsible for that as a city, or?
We're not responsible for picking up that debris. That's somebody else that has that responsibility.
No, I just meant like if the debris is laying in the city servitude ditch ways and if it backs up to the house, they don't have the insurance. How does that?
I don't want to speculate on liability.
Well, I'm just wondering if I get that call, I mean, complaining about their house.
If their ditch is blocked up, they should call someone to see about, get on a list to see about getting that ditch cleaned out.
Hi. Good evening. I'm Laura Knighton. Live on top Clark Street, right across from St. Paul Church. Right the next street from Martin Luther King Park. And we have had trash piled up in the streets ever since. The truck came down and cleaned St. Paul's yard. It went to Hollis Street and cleaned Hollis Street, blocks edging with mine. And of all things, Ms. Gonzalez, I walk out of my house and it's a big snake coming from the canal. It scared me to death. And the trash is piled up like this on my sidewalk. If you remember once before, the last council meeting that I was here, I was begging for you guys to please clean out my ditch out to Colorado Street, right in front of St. Paul Church. Some guys in the back told me, said, don't worry, Miss Knighton, we got you. That made me feel bad for you guys. This is you guys, my council person, and somebody in the streets that maybe I taught or taught something. Said, Miss Knighton, don't worry, we got you. The next morning, they had me. But you don't know what I had for this city council. See, you haven't seen me here. I have been trying to get self-control. It's disgraceful. Now, how you are going to solve your problems, I don't know. But a good idea they taught us, we all get together and we all go to each one's district. And we see what you need and what you need and what you need, and we work from that attitude. I don't want to have to come up with my whole what I was trying to kill that snake with, Ms. Gonzalez. But I really do. I'm 91 years old. There's no use for me to pay taxes. And all I pay, and I can't get a ditch cleaned out or trash moved off my street. Set your hearts. Thank you.
Any other council reports? Next item on the agenda, I need to have a motion to approve the September 16, 2021 minutes, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Yes. Aye.
Councilman DiViterio?
Yes.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye. Resolution, none. Old business, none. New business.
A resolution to accept the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Annual Report for the South Wastewater Treatment Plant, as required by Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality and specified in the City of Hammond discharge permit. Guy Palermo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Annual report we do every year that we had to submit to DEQ. It runs from July the 1st of 2020 to June the 3rd of 2021.
Can you explain what this is doing, what we're doing here, just so it's clear?
It's all the lab data. I got the lab manager here. All our samples and stuff that we run daily and monthly. We had to submit to the state on DMRs every month. Any problem with the plant, any upgrades?
This is our sewage discharge out for the wetlands,
No,
correct?
this the plant,
The plant.
wastewater plant permit. That's all. The number of personnel you working there, that type stuff.
And we're within the limits? That's basically what the report says? Any findings of any problems?
I think we had a couple excursions due to heavy rain. Ms. Navy, you want to come speak about it? This the lab manager.
I'm just trying to put this out here for anybody who's watching and they want to know what we're talking about, you know?
Good evening. I'm Nathan Levy. There have been some excursions, some high numbers. A lot of it was due to the rainfall that we had, kind of overloads the plant. Probably our biggest challenge was the fact that we had some overflows. There was a record number of overflows reported. We haven't seen that many in a long time because of all the rain that came. But the good news is the plant did not have any reason to discharge raw waste at all. They were able to keep everything contained, and so that's the good news. The report has several metrics that are looked at, from the influent loading to the plant and what comes out of the plant and what the reduction is. And so it's kind of on a point system. And so you just have to summarize what happened during the last year. Oddly enough, it's half of each year, July to August. We're in the middle of getting a new permit for the plant, and the new permit has verbiage in it that's going to require this report done on a calendar year. So that permit is just probably going to get approved this sometime before the end of the year for sure. And when that happens, this report will be different. So instead of looking for it in September, it'll be coming out in first quarter of every year for the previous 12 months. So that's going to make it a little bit of a dynamic shift on what we're looking at, but we still look at the same information. We still look at the monthly influent, the monthly outgo for the two things that are monitored closest are BOD and TSS. BOD is biochemical oxygen demand, and TSS is total suspended solids. And those are two of the things that are most watched on the effluent to make sure that your plant is operating properly. And so that's really what it is. It's looking at a whole 12 months worth of information and making an assessment of how the plant is doing. The other part of the report is I sit down and interview with Guy and Vernon Banks, the chief operator, and Wanda Brumfield, his assistant, as well as a lab person. And we go over what has the plant done in the last 12 months, what improvements have been made, have we built in new lift stations, have we revised or revamped any lift stations. We also talk about what we got planned for the next 12 months. And all of this is in that report. So you're basically telling the DEQ what you've done in the last 12 months and then what you plan to do in the next 12 months. So that's also part of the report. And so that's kind of where it is. It's really just a summary of what happened and what you plan to do.
Mr. Levy, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Look, so far as the overflow in the houses, I don't see no, I went through the report and I don't see, what overflows in the houses. How y'all do that?
I don't think, I don't,
Okay, well, Guy, you need to come up here then, please. The second month, the 19th, 2021. That's when this here started. That's when the report started. Okay, I didn't see nothing on Vinedo Lane. She had sewer bagged up in her house.
Now, this is not overflowing house, this is overflowing manhole. Overflowing house, we do action reports and turn it over to HR. We got to get the information, do city action report, and that's turned over to HR, and from there, insurance handles it. This is just the back overflow manholes, canals, and the ditches.
Okay, so tell me this here, what could we do to stop it from overflowing in the house?
Approve the money, fix the system, stop shooting the money down, point blank, what Chuck presented before. We need to move forward with it.
What you said, say it again?
That station, we want to put it on Natchez.
Uh-huh.
We need to move forward, doing what we got to do. We just, I mean, you say you're going to be honest, I'm going to be honest. We fight about this every time we turn around. Stop fighting about it, prove it, let's get it fixed.
Okay, stop fighting.
Stop arguing about it, I'm talking about.
Okay, no, you good, you good. So I'm fighting about something you're trying to get fixed, okay? This report, I'm glad you said that. Part 9, you got the same paperwork I got in front of me?
Which one you want?
Part 9. And I'm gonna fight. I just want to put that where everybody know. When it comes to District 3, I'm gonna fight all day. So put that on the record, that I will fight for District 3.
Like page 13.
9 or 13?
Page 13. Okay, the first one, A. The rehabilitation of the collection system. So, are we finished with this here grant cut on this here?
We have continuous grants all over the city.
Huh? No, this one here saying 675,000. This started out in District 3.
No, that's one they're still working on.
Oh, no. You the department head. So the department head ought to know.
This Southeastern area, they're still working on that.
That's different than 675,000. That's it could be two things. You're assuming it's the grant that was done in District 3. This could be the total of the rehabs that was outlaid in capital outlay by the council.
Okay, well,
So all this is describing is what system maintenance was done in the last year.
yeah, okay. I didn't see.
Overall, yeah.
Okay, now, actually another question. On the same page, number 3, A3. I didn't see in the capital outlay, improvement plan for the 5 years, Water and Barley Street. You're talking about a lift station. Installing a new lift station?
That, we didn't pay for that, it paid by the developer, the apartment complex. That's all part of that deal. City had no input on that at all for its funds. They built
Okay,
a big apartment complex, they had to install that to pump to us. Only thing we did, we made a recommendation, put it, we can use it later, to go down Barley Road for future use. That was all paid for by the developer. I forgot the developer's name.
so why it's in there like that? I mean,
Stower.
huh?
Stower was a developer.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Because we wind up with it, once they get through with it, they donate to us. It would belong to the city of Hammond. That's part of upgrade. That's why it's in there.
So they done paid the impact fees and everything, right?
That's all.
Okay.
That box really isn't big enough to describe all that was appropriated this year in the budget. I mean, you could turn in the whole page from the city's capital outlay budget for everything that was.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I've been looking at it, but so if it's in, what I'm saying is, see how we write things up and it can be misinterpreted. This the problem I be having. And I'm gonna say it again. Explain it to me. I'm gonna say 10 years, like I'm 10 years old. So I want you to break it all the way down where I can understand it. What's going on, so I can explain it to somebody else that might ask me the question that's 10 years old. Because we get up here, and this was going on. Mississippi Street overflows. I sat there and looked at that. Brent Street overflows. Vinedo overflows. Natchez overflow. And only one time that I called you out to clean the street. And I see on here on your paperwork, we saying we wash down, clean it.
At that overflow, we do go out and bleach it down and wash it down with the sewer truck. We send the crew back after the fact.
Yeah.
Pick up debris if there's any debris on there. A lot of time ain't nothing there. So much clear rainwater coming through, just wash it off. We just bleach that area down.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, I see on your paperwork, because see the paperwork really look good. The paperwork, it really sit here and tell you the city doing an outstanding job. Repairs, let me see, page 8. Turn on page 8, please. Go to page 8, guy. Part 4, B, equipment failure. So I see you got 0. So you ain't have no equipment failure?
I'm trying to see where you at.
Go to B. You see B on there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You sitting there saying you don't have no equipment failure. That's what you're saying?
This is the plant.
Yeah, so you ain't have no equipment fail at the plant.
No, the normal maintenance. Other than that, no major equipment failure, no.
Okay.
The normal motors wearing out, getting the bills like that, that's normal maintenance.
Okay, this report, what day this report end on? Is it, because I want to make sure, I'm looking at the 6 month, 6/6/21 or what? What day this report end on?
Which report you looking at?
I'm looking at, the email that I had sent out.
Overflows?
Yeah, overflows, everything.
These are just through June the 30th.
Huh?
End of June the 30th. Everything from July forward goes on next year's.
Okay, so.
You won't have July, anything at July 1st to current, you won't have them.
Okay, so, and I need it on record, these overflows in these houses. I mean, I don't know what y'all gonna do or how you gonna do it. And then the equipment failure, I see we got propane gas over there for the lift station, am I right?
Which one?
Come on now, on Phoenix Avenue.
This is propane, yes, sir.
Okay, why we got propane over there now?
We had, I'm sorry, it's gas, Atmos gas. That's Atmos gas.
Let him talk, please.
Atmos gas. The generator that's sitting there now is propane, because gas pressure dropped so low during the storm, that generator wouldn't run.
Okay, so.
We had to get a FEMA generator brought in to pump that station.
Yeah, I saw the FEMA generator. I saw everything took place. And this is why I'm saying here saying this here. See, I already know I'm not finna vote on this. I mean, I'm not gonna vote yes on it. And what I'm saying is, just like you sit here and talk about that FEMA generator, and just like, cause I'm going to equipment failure. See, we make it seem like the city is doing good.
That equipment fee won't be on this budget.
I know. It gonna be next year, and I'm gonna look for it next year. So I'm sitting here saying this here. So I'm keeping up with it because guess why? District 3, and they not gonna even tell you now. Villa West dealing with sewer issues now, so they getting sewer in their houses now. So we got to find a problem. You know, I don't know if I'm the problem, you the problem. What you said, I fight too much, and no. It ain't that I fight too much. I just want things done the right way. That's why I fight. So if it ain't the right way, you or whoever, I will fight when it comes to District 3. So I see you got 0 check. There's no equipment failure. So next year, whether you be around, I be around, this paper shouldn't look like this. And we need to start, somehow we need to start putting on when the sewer get in these houses
That don't go on this.
Okay, what report that go on?
That goes on the city Hammond action report. That's turned over to HR. We do action report for the city, and the HR gets it, and that goes to city insurance. This is just strictly the state stuff.
Okay, this just state stuff because DEQ, I talked to DEQ myself, and DEQ told me for every house got sewer in it, get the address and send it to them. And so I know that don't have nothing to do with you.
I do the overflows like they told us to do.
Yeah.
That's what I do in the houses. Again, we do action reports, take pictures, turn over to city HR, and they go. I think insurance takes from there.
Now, how long you been doing overflow?
I just started this year.
Okay.
I was unaware when it happened, but when it brought to my attention in February, I started.
Yeah, and it was brought to your attention because I called DEQ. That's no, you doing your job. I just want to let it be known for the record. You wasn't doing it at first because you didn't know. Nobody told you you had to do it. So that's where all this has started from. So no, I would love to say you're doing a good job, but I can't say that, not at this time. So hopefully
How you feel?
Yeah, well, that's how I feel. So because if you was doing a good job, we wouldn't have sewer going in these people's houses. So thank you for taking time out. Mrs. Lisa, thank you for getting me all the information that I asked for. Thank you, guy.
You know, this report has to be turned into the state by October the 1st. Or we get fined.
Well,
So
my people being fined now.
I understand that.
They done tore everything out their house.
understand
Everything,
that.
they got everything on side of the street, so guess what? And the funny part about it, some of them don't even have insurance. And we talking about a lifetime of living there. So it just my opinion. I'm just one vote.
I know.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public? Anyone from YouTube?
One comment. Tracy Wells, 610 Lee Avenue. The sewer backed up into my home a day before Ida started. There was no rain.
Any other comment from the council?
I would just like to thank everybody for appropriating the money. I know it took a long time to get here. This has been a long process of a system that has been broken for a long time. It's not something that just happened. It's something that has been fixed piecemeal over many years. And it took a long time to reach a compromise about how the funding would be managed. There was an original funding amount that was brought to the council that was delayed because I think there was hopes that there would be more funding. And fortunately, the federal government came down with stimulus funding. And so this year alone, there's far more funding than has ever been received by the city. There's $4.2 million going to sewer upgrades that includes a lot of neighborhoods, but especially focuses on District 3 and focuses on the sewer problems that we've been having in this specific area. I think Guy Palermo has done an amazing job. I think he works with the resources that he has. I think he has a very limited staff. I think he has a very limited budget. And I don't think it's Guy's fault that the sewer backed up in people's homes. I think, on the contrary, he and his staff worked very diligently and worked for more than 24 to 36 hours to make sure that the sewer system would continue to limp along during a catastrophic hurricane that has never happened in Hammond. And so I want to thank you for all those hours. I want to thank you, Nathan, for coming on and doing the diligent research that you've done. I want to thank the guys who work out at the plant, and I want to thank the people who do get in the sewer every day, and that's their life's work, is to make sure that we can flush our toilets and drink our water. And I hate that sewer backed up in my house. Like, it's not something that just happened in a certain area because this was such a catastrophic storm. It doesn't make it any better for anybody that had that happen. In fact, it makes it far worse, and it makes it far worse when it's a large community and it happens to so many people on the same blocks. But I'm happy that we at least have the funds available to do something about it, and that's what we should get to the work of doing.
That was a good speech you gave, but in the meantime, I got to go back and tell Mr. Sims, I'm sorry about the sewer coming in your house, and he could tell you, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, that house been there. Next to my house, we never received sewer in our house. So you can sit there and guy worked 100 hours. He get paid for it. That's his job. The storm caught everybody off guard. Everybody had a job to do. You know, talk about hours. Hell, I can't even tell you how many times I slept. Because guess what? People keep calling me. But you know what? They voted for me. So I'm doing my job. I don't get paid for it. I get $1,000 a month. That's all I get. But guess what? I'm doing my job. Guy got paid for every hour he worked. So I heard a councilman say this here. Several councilmen said this here. Don't they get paid for it? Everybody get paid for it. FEMA gonna pay them. So it ain't like the city paying them for every hour they work. So don't sit there and make it seem like, you know, you can sit there and say he did a good job. But I can sit here and say, well, I'm looking at failure. You know, if he's short of means, whatever. Everybody's short of means. They don't have a person out here working that don't need help. And so the people don't want to work. So ain't nothing we can do about that, but we still have a problem that needs to end.
Yeah.
Don't fight with us. Don't fight against us. Fight with us. If you noticed on your street, there's some survey flags that are out there. We're doing the very thing we were trying to do 6 months ago. They're identifying that force main. We're trying to bypass that force main to relieve the pressure on Mooney in that area. That's things that are happening now with all these dollars. So we want it as bad as you. So fight with us. We don't mind you fighting. We definitely know you need to fight for your constituents. We want it done as well as you do. I'm in construction just like you. We want to do it. It's going to get done. The process has started.
Yeah, I saw those flags. I saw the survey. Ain't too much gonna hit District 3, and I don't see it. I saw it. And so everybody, they doing their job. And you talk about fight with you. Just one thing that I can say. I voted for you. You didn't vote for me. So me saying that, I voted for you because I thought you were going to be the right man for the job. But see, you can't vote for me. But I voted for you, and I can say that on the record, you know. So I really thought we was going to fight together, you know. But we can sit here at the council meeting and make it sound good, look good, but they pretty much know. I'm gonna say what I have to say.
So will I.
I know.
Leary?
Tracy Wells, 610 Mooney Avenue. Could the administration please address why before now there were no overflows ever reported to the DEQ?
I don't know if you want to take it or not. There were overflows reported in the past, but the manhole-specific overflows were not as prevalent. There was just a different understanding of those reports.
Any other questions?
Good, thank you.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Oh, one more. Golly, hold up. We got Dean's Food. Come back up here, guy, please. Page 15. I knew it was something. Page 15. Can you see what Dean's Food at Norfolk Hospital? You see that one? Okay. Toxin. How we know this not bagging up into the homes?
This is pumped straight to the headworks and not to it goes straight to the lagoon we got, the process lagoon, straight into that pre-treatment and not into the ponds. That goes to pre-treatment first, goes to a pre-treatment chamber, then goes into oxidation ponds.
What a
That don't hit no manhole between the hospital and the plant and Dean Foods and plant.
So,
We took the old treatment plant, it used to be years ago, big concrete racetrack thing, and made that a pre-treatment for the industrial users. Them two sites are pumped straight to that.
so when it come from Norfolk, exactly where it's going? Give me the street, give me the area.
It comes from North Oaks, down North Oaks, the back road of North Oaks, the Club of Lux, goes down Club of Lux to Jackson Road, on the interstate, goes to J.W. Davis, runs west, goes straight into the plant.
So when is that coming in none of the homes, right?
No, sir, I can show you that.
So you can show me this on the map.
Yes, sir. That goes straight to pre-treatment before it even goes in the pond. It don't hit no main lift station around Hammond. That pumps straight to the plant.
We actually took a pond that was shut down, shut down, the old pond, rehabbed it, and turned that into Dean Foods and North Oaks' waste pond before it comes into the pond, the newer ponds.
Okay, I know where North Oaks is located at.
Dean Foods is actually the Winn-Dixie warehouse.
Yes.
That station is in the very back of Winn-Dixie warehouse. It pumps down Stein Road all the way to Baton Rouge Highway. Runs up Baton Rouge Highway all the way to Natchez. Natchez all the way down, goes into off by the plant, and goes into the headworks right by the plant. One continuous force main. Don't stop nowhere.
Okay, now go to page 16, please. Total points, you made it there yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 128, am I reading that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good? Yeah, Mr. Nathan can come up here.
The point system, he does reports, he can explain the point system better than I can.
Well, instead of looking at the 128, I think what you ought to look at is the maximum points, because that's the number you don't want to get to.
Yeah, what's the maximum point?
That's over at the column.
I know, no, I'm asking you, what's the maximum points altogether?
As far as totals, you would add up the 80 to 100. And
Yeah, I did it. I'm asking you because, see, if you doing this here, if God doing this here, and I'm saying, you know, and you can see, you about to see how serious I am when it comes to sewer. So I'm not playing. So, I mean, I already added up. I just wanted to ask the question just to see if I can get an answer.
what is there, 450, 500 points there?
660.
Something like that. I didn't add it up, but I'm just
Yeah.
add it in my head. It's about 500 points, so you're 128 out of, what is the number? Can you tell me?
Yeah, 128.
No. The
maximum
the maximum number. Did you add those numbers up?
Yeah, I got 560.
Okay, 560, so that's close. So now you got 128 out of 560, all right? So do that percentage, that's.
22.
What is it?
22%.
22%, 25%?
22.
22%, all right? So,
0.8, so you could round.
So Okay, you asked the percentage, hold up, you asked the percentage, you asked the points. And is God doing this here or you doing this here?
The report, I did the report.
You did the report.
But it's like golf. You're looking for a low score.
Oh, no, I don't know how to play golf, so you
Well,
got,
that was my best analogy.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
Baseball or football or
Okay.
basketball, where you're looking for those points, you don't want points.
okay,
It's like golf. So, so you got 128 out of a possible 560.
60.
All right, so that's a low number. Now, to really have a better handle on it, we'd have to go back and look at, you know, the last 5 years, what did we score? Because we've been doing this a long time. And we can keep track of that year over year, and we can see how our points are from there. But I'd say you're in a pretty low area, at 128 out of 560.
all right. How many years' experience you have doing this?
About 40 or
40 years. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
All right. Pleasure of the council.
I had a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman DiViterio?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
No.
And Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Resolution number 2.
A resolution to approve Hi-Ho Bar Barbecue Number 1, located at 2610 West Thomas Street, Hammond, Louisiana, 70401, for high-low alcohol approval on premise. The ownership is Z&L Enterprises, LLC. Laura Hammond.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is going to be a change of ownership. They are purchasing from JT and Stella Gazzardo, Inc. They have been under ownership from 1977 to now 2021. Z&L Enterprises is buying that from JT and Stella Gazzardo. They've met all of our requirements, zoning, background checks, everything that we've asked them to do, and we are seeking your approval tonight. And I believe that's District 2 that they're in. So should you have any questions?
That's
No,
District
it's
4,
not. No, it's not.
my district, yeah.
I must have looked the wrong back, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. There already was alcohol here. It's
Yes,
just since it's a
ma'am.
change of ownership, it's, yeah,
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Are they here tonight?
Yes, sir, they're in the audience. I have Zachary and Lacey Russell in the audience.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good, how you
How you
doing?
doing, sir?
Good.
Good, good. Y'all gonna change anything up, or y'all gonna pretty much keep it the same?
I've been with the company for 7 years now, so just, Mr. JT was ready to retire,
Mhm.
gave me a chance to take it over, so just keeping everything the same, just.
There you go. Good, good deal, good deal.
So can I come there and, the hamburger still gonna taste the same?
Hey, same cook, same everything.
Same price?
Same price.
Boy, better not say that.
Hamburger, just barbecue, we had to adjust a little.
Oh, okay.
Meat prices are killing us.
All right, 'cause you know everything that went up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad to see you taking it over, and hopefully everything will stay the same or continue to get better, and wish you luck.
Thanks, sir.
You guys are a Hammond institution, I think. And I know you all were one of the only ones, or the first ones open after Ida.
We opened the Monday after.
Yeah,
this one.
y'all had some lines, so that was nice to serve the community and feed people. I know people were looking for that.
I believe one day we did 1,700 sandwiches.
Wow.
I remember when Mr. JT, old man, he cooked the meat over there in Independence, right next to where I grew up.
Okay.
On Highway 51. On Highway 51, right next door. So I remember smelling it every time as a kid.
I got you. We still smoke
Yeah.
out there right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Pleasure of the I'm sorry. Anyone from the public? Anyone from YouTube? No, sir. Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilman DiViterio?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Final adoption of ordinance, old business none, new business.
Final adoption of an ordinance declaring a movable property as surplus and providing for a donation to benefit public safety. 6 digital alley body cameras, and 1 docking station.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Final adoption, number 2.
Final adoption of an ordinance to declare used Kate Street playground equipment as surplus and no longer needed by the city and to donate it to the Hammond Area Recreation District.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Final adoption item number 3.
Final adoption of an ordinance to declare as surplus and authorize the sale of the items listed below to sell on govdeal.com.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
Aye.
Final adoption number 4.
Final adoption of an ordinance to transfer $86,819.96 from the sales tax fund balance to purchase a Kubota tractor for the airport on state contract number AG-440001785 from Star Equipment.
Pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Councilman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Divatario?
Aye.
Councilman Wells?
No.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, introduction of ordinance set for a public hearing, none. Got to get a motion to adjourn.
Aye. Make a motion to adjourn, yep.
Second.
So ordered.